Hello, good evening everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight. My name is Seamus. And tonight Richard and I are going to be presenting Vasoprint. This is a medical device startup company, and we're forming a unique intellectual property to push our device onto the market. When you think of a track runner, they spend countless hours every week running the same track day in, day out, all for the one big race. How about a surgeon? Sure, they have a wealth of experience, cutting open certain patients day in, day out, but we're all unique. 20% of us have different anatomy to the textbook normal, and these are important factors to consider when performing operations, and they can lead to complications, such as you nick an artery, we nick a nerve, and what our company entails is we're really looking at that and transforming the idea that surgeons operate in 3D. Why can't they do their planning and pre-surgery procedures in 3D as well? And this is demonstrated by our prototype, which is on the table, and Annabine is holding right here. All our own work, computer generated from a patient, that is someone's lungs that Annabine is holding. So our team, this is us. We're all from different backgrounds. We've got commerce, engineering, science, arts, law. We're a real mixture of people here. And we've all excelled in our corresponding fields, we've got a few patents going, research in different areas. And what we all have in common is that we're passionate about patient outcomes because it all affects us personally, or to some degree. So what is our product? Well, we take a stack of 2D images, particularly an angiogram. I've got to be careful how much I disclose tonight. And we process this stack of 2D images to form the 3D printed model today. And every surgeon that we have taken this to, this idea, has said, yes, 100% we agree with this, we would use this product, and Richard will go through that later. The safety and efficacy, this is very important. The TGA, Therapeutic Goods Administration, we are talking to consultants there, and they've said that it's a class 1 device, which is the safest type of medical device you can have, and for that class. And it has a very low market approval time. And lastly, one very important consideration when considering if you want to invest in us is our scalability. The fantastic thing with our product is that it's the software that we've developed and the 3D printers that come with it. So to upscale our product, you just buy more printers and you put the same software on the same printer. So it's very easily done.
So from the business point of view, we're in a very good position at this early phase. This graph on the right shows you how many surgeons we've been able to see, which is unfortunately limited to what the code of practice in the medical industry indicates, so we can only market and direct. What that graph doesn't show, what does show first up, is these are all the surgeons that are willing to support us, which is increasing week by week. What doesn't show is the 100% success rate. All the surgeons we've talked to are willing to use it. All the surgeons we've talked to want to use it day one that we're able to sell it. One surgeon even indicated that he would actually like to use it the day we presented to him, but unfortunately can't. What that also doesn't show is the huge amount of referrals we're getting every single day from new surgeons who want to participate in this market, who want to talk to us and want to actually get on that track to use our product when it's launched. So what Seamus skipped away from beforehand was the target market of surgeons in Australia alone is 3,200. 3,200 surgeons who could potentially use our prototype on the table there. And of those surgeons, they will perform 1.3 million surgeries every year, which will have the ability to pre-plan. That won't be emergency surgeries, that won't have a scenario where we can't scan. So this is our most pessimistic projection that we could adapt to, saying that regardless of what happens, we're still going to make a decent amount of revenue once we're able to sell and once we're able to get through the Therapeutic Goods Administration, which will increase rapidly along the lines of our referral strategy that we've indicated earlier. So this is our scenario. This shows the different phases that we're in currently. So at the moment, we've just done the prototype and we're just on the Genesis submission tonight. After that, the next 6 months is going to be based on the application to the TGA and getting our IP and licensing sorted. While we're doing that, we intend to continue marketing direct to surgeons, and we intend to get our office, our equipment sorted out so that we can be prepared to launch from day one and get that revenue going.
So 1 in 3 people during their lifetime will develop cancer. 1 in 20 Australians every year actually have to go under the knife. So what we're presenting today is a device that can aid in a lot of these areas, and we're passionate about improving patient outcomes for those who are friends, family, colleagues, because this is something that affects all of us. And right now with biotechnology, it's on the frontier, and we would really like to have the opportunity to be part of that. I'd like to thank our mentor, Dennis Feeney, for his continuous support throughout this process, as well as the Genesis program for connecting us with wonderful individuals who are very talented and knowledgeable in their respective areas. Thank you.
Great to see you all. It's really nice to see a multidisciplinary team. I'm not quite sure how you got together, but that can be a conversation for a beer, I think. Looking at the model here, one thing that does strike me is the quality. It's one of the problems we do have with 3D printing in general is the granularity and resolution of the objects that are produced. And then clearly the structure is the structure able to support its own weight to make it more useful from the surgeon's point of view. So have you actually done any work to see whether the models that you could produce with the 3D technology printers today is going to be suitable for surgeons to use in real life?
I think I'll start that and then pass on to Anubhav, who does all that specialty. But firstly, when a surgeon gets an angiogram, it's a scan of your vasculature, your arteries. The scan itself has got significant tolerance. So that's actually more of a factor than actually the printers, from my understanding. In terms of printer acquisition, I'm sure that...
So these prints that we're presenting to you today have been printed in the last 24 hours. The same print can be conducted over a 48-hour print, and you'd have a far, like all the granularity that you can see will disappear. And you can make a solid print as well. And the other side that Seamus mentioned was we're not just looking at the printing, we've built software that goes with this. And our software has some, I'm not sure if I can't, okay. Well, it has some optimization to take care of exactly what you're mentioning. And it does look at organic structures and trying to make prints which are more stable and to support their own weight.
And just on that explanation there, I'd like to know, are you a software company or are you a technology manufacturing company?
That's a very good question. Initially, we will be a software company and a manufacturer, and that takes a lot of responsibility onto us, because we're with the TGA becoming the manufacturer, that entails a lot to tick the boxes to get it approved. In the long term, we hope to outsource our manufacturing to a reputable 3D printing biomedical company. There's a few in Sydney. I can't mention the current companies, but it's currently expanding. We've actually got interest from a United States printing company that is very, very up the top, and they're very interested in what we do.
And also another route of expansion that we're sort of thinking of is at the moment, hospitals have certain actual producers on site. So if we can install a position for Vasoprint in every major hospital in Australia, for example, we've got potential access direct to the surgeon. So.
And that leads to my second question. Who is your ultimate client or user or your customer? Is it the surgeon, is it the hospital, or is it health bodies?
It's all of them in terms of getting money in, because the ideal plan as we put forward is get it to the surgeon, get it out there, get people saying this is good, let's use it. Then the government will subsidise it to some extent, so we get revenue through that stream. And then the ultimate goal of getting it placed in the hospital system, that would also be in its own revenue stream.
But adding to that, there's also a case for it to be put into the education system, for example. Like I would love to see surgeons, up-and-coming surgeons, learning how to use that for every specific patient. If they're presented with an example that's very rare or very uncommon, they can actually have a scenario where they can plan from print and actually have a look and be marked on that, for example. So, yeah.
Very impressive team. Congratulations. I want to understand two things. You partly answered that question in your last answer, and that was how are you going to use this data beyond the surgery today? And does anything like that exist from a data perspective? So where 2D images have been converted into 3D and there's a storage of data which could perhaps be used long term, which is quite transferable across industry. The second question I have is your startup capital, what are you raising at the moment and what are you going to use that for?
For the startup capital, we're looking at $150,000. This will cover everything for TGA.
Not only will it cover everything from TGA, but also leaves that little bit in case the TGA want us, for example, to do clinical trials. So there's also a worst case scenario factor involved there. So we don't want to run out of money where it comes to like a major phase and be desperately looking for funds, for example.
In light of the data, and as you know, as a patient, if you have your scan and it's going out there, you know what's going to happen with it, with insurance companies and things like that. It's quite terrifying. There is established data security systems. I'm not sure about the TGA, but I know for the FDA, they've only recently released, as in the past 6 months, a proper guideline on how these software and biomedical companies should handle the data, and also what happens if there's a leak of that data. So hopefully our company will conform to all of those standards as outlined by the FDA.
I was thinking more about the aggregation of the data for future good use and how transferable that is across other industries.
So the biggest issue we've faced, especially when coming to finding a suitable scan that we could convert into the prototype in front of you, was that there's a lot of law surrounding this scenario, especially confidentiality for patients is a major factor. There is a possibility, I would like to think, for us to be able to use those scans for a better means, without actually, like, I mean, based on a huge variety of scans, if you can meld them together and create, for example, a scenario that's unique, that also doesn't have the negative downside of actually being a person's, system, that's a scenario we're looking at. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Vasoprint, my first comment in a sense, ask for 10 times what you're looking for. And also, we like the idea of the education market. When you're looking at saying 20% of the people are non-average, then clearly that's a very good space for the education market. Fantastic work, everybody. You can always get feedback on things. Take it really positively, move forward with it, but you've got great opportunities ahead of you. So thank you for coming forward and presenting your ideas to us.
The first prize that we are giving away tonight for the most disruptive enterprise goes to
Vasoprint. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Well done. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.